Hey guys, today we are going to move into my favorite lesson on angles. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we have a few key terms written down. So on your key takeaway page, you're going to go ahead and write the following definitions. So the first one is adjacent. So adjacent means next to. So when we're talking about adjacent angles, if I have two angles that look like this, and they kind of go like that. Okay, so I have this angle and this angle. They're next to each other. They're adjacent. Your next definition is complementary angles. Complementary angles. And so a complementary angle, when you have two adjacent angles that add up to 90 degrees. And we're going to practice that a lot more. Your complementary angles, when you have two adjacent angles that add up to 90 degrees. So if I were to have this and I had these two angles right here, and when I put them together, they added up to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles are adjacent angles that add up to 180 degrees. So we'll write supplementary. Make sure I'm spelling that right. Supplementary angles, two adjacent angles that add up to 180 degrees. So if I had this angle and then this angle and I added them together, they give me 180 degrees. And again, don't worry, we're going to dive into this deeper, but these are definitions that I want you to have written before we do that. And the other really important definition we will have today green, vertical angles. So vertical angles are angles that are opposite of each other. And they are equal. So if I were to go like this, I have two sets of vertical angles. I have this set of vertical angles, and I have this set of vertical angles. Okay, and if I were to call them A, B, C, and D, A would be equal to C, and B would be equal to D in this case. And this is something we're going to, again, get a lot deeper into, and we're going to be able to tell a lot about angles. For right now, just make sure you have this on your paper. Okay, we're going to move on. If you still need to get some of this on your paper, we can go ahead and pause the video for a second. Let's go down to our intro to new material. So Ashley accompanies her mom on a trip in the car to the library. How many degrees further would the needle on the speedometer need to rotate to reach the maximum speed? Okay. So how many degrees further would the needle need to rotate to reach the maximum speed? Okay, so this is my straight line, all right, and I know that my straight line is 180 degrees, okay? And we know that she is already at 150 of those 180 degrees. Please don't get that confused with miles per hour. Okay, so she's already at 150 of those 180 degrees. And if she were to reach that maximum speed, she would have to go all the way over till she got to that 180 degrees. So I would say 180 degrees minus 150 degrees. I'll put my little degree sign up here. She would need to go 30 more degrees to reach that maximum speed. And that would put her at 180, which would be a straight line, which means these two angles right here, this angle and this angle, that 30 more degrees she would need to go, if I added them together, they would be supplementary angles. Supplementary is a hard one for me to spell. Supplementary. All right. So these two adjacent angles are supplementary. Let's move on. The first page of chapter 11 in the book below is at a 93-degree angle with the back cover. How many more degrees must the page be turned for the book to be open completely? So if this is my page here, I'll go like this. How many more degrees? This is my page here. Okay, I've opened at 93 degrees. And if I want to say, how much further does this need to go to be all the way flat here and open to 180 degrees? Again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to subtract 180 degrees minus 93 degrees. And I would need to go 87 more degrees, okay? So if this is 93 degrees here, I have to go 87 more degrees. That'll get me to 180. And again, this is supplementary. These are two adjacent angles that are supplementary. All right. And so now we want to say, well, what are supplementary angles? And we already talked about that, but these are two adjacent angles that add up to 180 degrees. Now, Miss Syed, we have a lot of vocabulary that we're learning today. How am I going to remember the difference between supplementary and complementary? Well, supplementary begins with an S, and a supplementary angle makes a straight line. So the way I remember is I say, okay, supplementary, straight line. So my supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. And so if we come and move down to this guided practice, we have some examples of supplementary angles. So I have this 140-degree angle together with my 40-degree angle, which gives me this 180 degrees. If I were to add x plus y here, all right, this would give me my straight line, all right, which is 180 degrees. I have this 139 plus 41. If I were to take this 41-degree angle and sort of transpose it to being over here, that would give me my supplementary angle. All right, and so here it says in the diagram below, angle JMK is 133 degrees. And so let's talk a little bit about how we read an angle. JMK, I would literally just connect. And so I know that I'm talking about this angle right here, and that's 133 degrees. So what is angle LMK, and how do I know? So this is LMK, LMK, and I know they're adjacent because they share those two letters here. So I know that this is a supplementary angle. So I'm going to take that 180 degrees, subtract my 133 degrees. And that is going to leave me over here with, excuse me, a 47-degree angle. And I know because supplementary angles add up to 180. So when I subtract the given angle from the angle that I wasn't given, I know that I'm going to get that the rest of that 180. Okay, we'll take a look at a new kind of angle. Miss Rosado is working out at the gym, and her goal is to do an arm raise as shown below. Currently, she can only lift her right arm 62 degrees. How much further will she need to rotate her arm to reach her goal? Show or explain how you know. Okay, so it's hard when you're working with a body line because nothing is absolutely perfectly a certain degree. But so we are going to assume that their goal here is to get this right angle, to get to a 90-degree angle, okay? She's already at a 62-degree angle. How much further does she have to go? Well, I'm just going to do 90 minus 62. I believe that's going to get me 28. Yep. So she has 28 more degrees to go. Okay, and when I add these two angles up, I have my 62-degree angle here, I have my 28-degree, that gives me a 90-degree angle, and that is my complementary angle. Give me a second, I'm having some software issues. So I'll write this down, my complementary. All right, and so these equal 90 degrees. Two adjacent angles that equal 90 degrees. Here's another one. Mr. Bell finishes working on his laptop. He closes it at 42 degrees as shown. How much further will he need to rotate the screen of his laptop for it to close completely? Show or explain. Okay, so we're starting here. Okay, so we were starting at this 90-degree angle. And he closed it 42 degrees. And so to get the rest of this angle, I have my two sort of adjacent angles here. To get the rest of this angle, I would go 90 minus 42. And that gives me 48 degrees. He has to go ahead and close at 48 more degrees. All right. And so this gives me another complementary angle. And so you might be saying, Ms. Syed, how am I going to remember that complementary angles are two adjacent angles that equal 90 degrees? Well, think about it like this, okay? Complementary begins with a C, okay, and it equals a 90-degree angle, and a 90-degree angle is kind of like a corner, all right? So I think complementary corner, and since a 90-degree angle is a corner, basically, that's how I know that when I have two adjacent angles that equal 90 degrees, that's complementary. All right, we'll move on down here, and I have some examples of my complementary angles here. Okay, I have that 30 plus 60, it's going to give me 90. 75 plus 15, these are my adjacent angles. If I were to add these two angles together, this 40-degree angle and a 50-degree angle, if I were to put them next to each other, that would be my 40-degree, that would give me a 90-degree angle. Okay, so down here in the diagram below, angle M. So since the angle is written here, this could also be called RST. It could be called angle M. It could also be called RST. It's 58 degrees. So this is 58 degrees. What is the measure of angle N? How do I know? I know that I'm going to have to subtract my 58, from my 90, I think that's going to give me 32. All right, so angle N has got to be 32 degrees, and I know that because these are two adjacent angles that equal 90 degrees. All right, make sure you have all your notes. We're going to move on to vertical angles. All right, so I have here my pair of scissors. And so here we have angle A, we have angle B, and we have that being equal to angle C and angle D. So angle A and angle B are equal because they're opposite, okay? And angle C and angle D are equal because they are opposite. On my legs of a beach chair, take a moment. Oh, it says it right here. I have angle 1, which is equal to angle 3. These are opposite angles. They're vertical angles. And I have 2 equal to 4, also vertical angles. Moving down, name the vertical angles shown in the figure here, then solve for the missing angles. Okay, cool. So I have A, B, C, and this 40-degree angle here. All right, so what I can say, I'm going to name this A, B, C. I'm going to name this angle D. We'll call this angle D. All right, so I know that angle B is equal to angle D. And so since angle D is equal to 40 degrees, I know that angle B is also equal to 40 degrees. Okay. I also know that angle C, because these are opposite, is equal to angle A. A, not a 9. Okay. And the question here is, so what is the measurement of angle C and angle A? Now, how would I figure something like that out? And do I have enough information? Well, the answer is yes. I have enough information because if I were to take this line and draw it right here, oops, pretend I did a better job tracing, angle C and angle D together add up to 180 degrees. I know this because I have a straight line. They are supplementary angles. So if angle D is 40 degrees, then I know that angle C is 180 degrees minus 40 degrees, which gives me 140 degrees. So angle A and angle C are both 140 degrees. All right, and just like angle B and angle D are both 40 degrees. And if I were to add all of these angles up together, I would get 360 degrees. Okay, so vertical angles are formed when two straight lines intersect. All right, guys, we are going to move on to independent practice. And then we have our exit ticket. Okay, good luck, work hard.